Good morning, ladies. Happy Wednesday. I hope this message finds you well. We are midweek. We are on Genesis chapter 22 and 23 today for Bible in a Year. So I hope you're ready. I'm going to hop on and do this prior to me heading out of here. A long, busy day at the office, but good, busy, not gonna lie. Can't complain. So we're gonna hop right in. Genesis chapter 22, verse 1 goes like this. Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and he split the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. Verse 4. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey. The lad and I will go yonder and worship, and we will come back to you. Verse 6. So Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and the 2 of them went together. But Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. Then he said, Look, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? Verse 8. And Abraham said, My son, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering. So the 2 of them went together. Verse 9. Then they came to the place of which God had told him. And Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order, and he bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. So he said, Here I am. Verse 12. And he said, Do not lay your hand on the lad, or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. I mean, as a parent, I can't even... Well, I can now. Maybe 5 years ago, probably wouldn't have as much. However, to sacrifice your kid and to get stopped, and knowing that just the way God's about to send Jesus a couple years later, he knows that Abraham is like the real deal. So it's insane. Verse 13, Then Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in a thicket by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for a burnt offering instead of his son. And in verse 14, And Abraham called the name of the place, The Lord will provide. As it is said to today, In the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. Verse 15, Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time out of heaven and said, Be by myself, I have sworn, says the Lord, because you have done this thing and have not withheld your son, your only son. Verse 17, Blessing, I will bless you, and multiplying, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven and as the sand which is on the seashore, and your descendants shall possess the gate of their enemies. Verse 18, In your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they arose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. Verse 20, Now it came to pass after these things that it was told to Abraham, saying, Indeed, Milcah also has borne children to your brother Nahor. Huz, his firstborn, Buz, his brother, Kemuel, the father of Aram. Verse 22, Chest, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlah, and Bethuel. Verse 23, And Bethuel begot Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore Teba, Gaham, Thahash, and Makkah. We are in Genesis chapter 23 now, verse 1. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. So Sarah died in Kirta Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and weep for her. Verse 3, Then Abraham stood up from before his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a foreigner and a visitor among you. Give me a property for a burial place among you, and I will bury my dead out of my sight. Verse 5, And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my lord. You are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choice of your burial places. None of us will withhold from you his burial place, that you may bury your dead. Verse 7, Then Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, the sons of Heth. And he spoke with them, saying, It is your wish that I bury my dead out of my sight. Hear me, and meet with Ephron, the son of Zohar, for me, that he may give the cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me at the full price as a property for a burial place among you. Verse 10, Now Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the presence of the sons of Heth, all who entered at the gate of the city, saying in verse 11 now, No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field and the cave that is in it. I give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I give it to you. Bury your dead. Verse 12, Then Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land, and he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If you will give it, please hear me. I will give you money for the field. Take it from me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My lord, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. In verse 17, And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. Verse 17, So the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went in the gate of his city. Verse 19, And after this Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of Machpelah, before Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And lastly, verse 20, So the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as a property for a burial place. That is all for today's Bible study. I hope you ladies get some information out of it. A lot of things to think about considering all this stuff that took place there. I just thinking about laying your kid down and then giving him the sacrifice. I mean, I could understand. It's just like, oh, crazy. Let's have an awesome day. Stay blessed. If you want to discuss anything, send me a message. I appreciate you all, and we'll talk soon. Bye.